like firecracker go off and this bird just fall from the wire.
Right now at 11 o'clock, it's like they're falling from the sky. Tonight, a mystery in an East Bay neighborhood. Dozens of birds found dead, and it's not clear why or what or who is to blame.
Now, neighbors say that it could be connected to the power lines, but PG&E insists the birds showed no signs of being electrocuted. So the question is, what's going on?
It's a mystery. I think that's how we all feel, is it's inexplicable.
If what's happening along Bernhardt Avenue in Richmond is a mystery, then these are the neighborhood detectives.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Residents say what has been happening high along this power line since February just isn't adding up.
Sounded like a firecracker, and a black, I think it was a starling, just plummeted to the ground.
They say there have been more than 50 instances of birds dying along this top power line. Video from a nearby Ring camera shows the moment it happens. Listen for the loud crack. A bird then falls to the ground.
Super traumatic to see this.
A horrifying mystery in one Northern California city where residents say birds are being killed at an alarming rate. More than 50 birds have recently plummeted to the ground after perching on a specific stretch of power line in Richmond, which is northeast of San Francisco. The utility says the California Department of Fish and Wildlife evaluated the birds and found no evidence of electrocution. The Department of Fish and Wildlife believes the deaths were caused by a BB gun or a slingshot. Neighbors aren't convinced.
Feel like a BB gun doesn't make a firecracker noise.
And I can't fathom somebody could be that accurate all the time.
Now, regardless of what's causing the deaths, residents say they just want someone to take action.
We spoke to several neighbors who are trying to make it stop.
It's very traumatic. It's super traumatic to see this.
Littered along this stretch of Bernhardt Avenue in Richmond are daily reminders of a bizarre and tragic problem plaguing the neighborhood.
It was just horrifying. Again, I didn't even know what was happening at first.
Several months ago, neighbors began to hear a frightening sound.
And I heard this sound like a BB gun or a firecracker going off.
But what they saw after was even worse. Birds exploding after landing on a power line.
So when they land and it happens, they just quickly explode, and it's just really violent. Since then, we've seen 13 total birds that we've seen die from that.
Ring camera video from one homeowner shows the moment it happens. Listen and you'll hear a loud crack. Then a bird withers and falls to the ground.
I'm a big animal lover. It was just horrific to see.
Residents say they've since reached out to PG&E multiple times for a solution.
We think is that the protector seal or some kind of the sheathing isn't there anymore.
But they say when PG&E shows up,
as far as we've seen, they haven't gone up to actually look at the line. They've just sort of looked up from the ground and said it was fine.
This Ring video in the East Richmond Heights shows a bird falling from what appears to be a power line just moments after a loud pop.
Heard the pop, looked up. I looked up before I heard the bird crash.
Tommy lives in the neighborhood and says a similar incident happened 2 months ago.
At that point, I'm like, shoot, is this like what all these birds were coming from, all these dead birds?
And he's not alone.
I heard this pop like firecracker go off.
His neighbor Sharon says the same thing happened a few weeks ago, and it took place with a sheriff's deputy on scene, responding to reports of birds being electrocuted from a power line.
This bird just fall from the wire right in front of the sheriff. I was still about a half a block away.
In just the past 2 months, residents have counted more than 50 dead birds. They say it's connected to the power lines. But when PG&E came out to survey the site, they told residents it's not true.
It's impossible. They had to be touching two lines at once, which I understand their logic because the lines are pretty far apart.
PG&E did pass along 2 of the dead birds to the Department of Fish and Wildlife for an evaluation, with the department confirming to us tonight that the birds show no signs of being electrocuted. Regarding the department's findings, PG&E says they have shared that the birds show no evidence of electrocution and that their deaths were caused by trauma, potentially from a pellet or BB gun or a slingshot. PG&E does not believe that there was an issue with our electrical equipment and agrees that these birds were not electrocuted. The community is now left wondering who they can turn to for answers to a problem that's not going away.
I believe it's electrocution or something to do with the lines. But again, at the end of the day, whether it's that or gun of some sort or projectiles, like, it's incredibly dangerous.
Neighbors say after hanging up awareness posters like these and repeated calls to PG&E, there was little action. When a worker came out to inspect the line,
He literally seemed like befuddled.
after reporting on the story Sunday night. On Monday, PG&E told ABC7 that they reached out to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to evaluate several of the dead birds. In a statement, PG&E said Fish and Wildlife shared that the birds show no evidence of electrocution and that their deaths were caused by trauma, potentially from a pellet or BB gun or a slingshot.
But I feel like a BB gun doesn't make firecracker noise.
And I can't fathom somebody could be that accurate all the time.
PG&E also said they do not believe that there was an issue with our electrical equipment and agrees that these birds were not electrocuted.
I know where the sound is coming from, and it's coming from up on the pole.
That particular wire does sizzle and arc at times.
We reached out to the Department of Fish and Wildlife, who confirmed PG&E's statement, but reiterated the cause of death was not clear. For the residents along Barnhard, whatever the cause, something needs to be done sooner than later.
We just want it solved, at the end of the day.
In Richmond, Dion Lim, ABC7 News.
So strange.
Bizarre. Yeah.
In the meantime, neighbors have resorted to hanging posters like these, pleading for help, documenting further bird explosions.
Somebody posted that one day 5 birds had died.
Residents say with fire season quickly approaching, a fix is needed fast.
It's been cooler and wetter, but if it's in the middle of the summer and it happens, it could easily catch fire. We want this to be solved before any of that happens.
Now, another neighbor told us she also filed a report with the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office. We have reached out and will keep you posted and continue following the story.
We begin at 6 o'clock with reports of sick or dead marine mammals washing up on local beaches.
News Channel reporter John Palmentary walked multiple beaches to investigate this. John, there were even more sightings this morning.
And we started last week with multiple sightings, as you say, in Carpinteria near Santa Claus Beach, at Hammonds in Montecito, just to the left of Stearns Wharf where the little buoy line comes in. There were sightings in all those areas. Now more reports are coming in, and it's likely linked to something we have seen before.
There's so many just, unharmed dolphins dead on the beach right now. So we're like, what the heck is that?
That's the question many people on the Central Coast are asking after seeing dead dolphins, sea lions, and shorebirds on the sand with no sign of being attacked or injured.
Normally, if you see a seal or a sea lion or a dolphin, they got a big chunk out of them, you know what happened to them. But
since at least last week, reports have come into the Channel Islands Marine and Wildlife Institute, or CIMWI, about the animals, especially those that are still alive. Some are very disoriented. In many cases, they are captured and brought to the rehabilitation facility along the Gaviota coast. This cause is believed to be linked to an algae bloom with a poisonous toxin affecting the food chain for the common dolphin and sea lions. One resident on Hendry's Beach said she looked up the details about domoic acid and how it comes out of the algae to learn more.
There's a big bloom, and then there's like a high concentration of domoic acid. It makes them all sick, the animals.
Yeah. Based on the trends we've seen over the last 4 years and experts that we have talked to, this may be an issue that could be lasting for several weeks.
there's definitely an outbreak right now because you never see that many dolphins, and we've seen them all the way down to Rincon.
There have been reports called in on a regular basis lately of the deceased marine mammals or nearshore birds to both CIMWI and the Wildlife Care Network. For a student visitor from Texas considering marine biology as a college major, seeing this site was a surprise.
I saw a deceased dolphin and also a sea lion, and I didn't expect to see that because this is my first time being on the beach, and seeing an animal is just not what you expect.
If you see a sick or deceased marine mammal, contact CIMWI with a specific location, and they'll have a team of responders they can call. It's an all-volunteer organization serving Santa Barbara and Ventura counties. And CIMWI does have a rapid response team of volunteers. We have seen them in action. They come out very quickly and assess the marine life, especially if they are alive. They try and capture them, bring them to their facility for rehabilitation. The Santa Barbara Wildlife Care Network as well takes care of the birds, and oftentimes both of the different nonprofits are able to rehab those animals and get them back into the ocean or let them fly along our coastline once again.